I believe in 1961, they did a lot of different things. What used to be, what I was told, let's see, we had a dance hall.
There was a dance hall there?
Well, yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. I had no idea. I've never
Okay.
seen Elderberry Park before.
Oh, really?
Right.
Well, when it was smaller, when it was the beginning of it, when I was smaller, and there was the kiddie pool and there was the swimming pool, and beautiful views of the hills. The pictures that I have, I've put them on Facebook on the Niles, when Niles was cool, kind of Facebook page. And it was just so serene, just so peaceful. And you had to have membership to get there, but it was for the whole summer, and it wasn't really a whole lot of money. We enjoyed going and taking family there, and then as a teenager, like you say, in '61, I remember there was something happened, burning down of whatever, so they had to renovate it. I remember we loved that snack bar. And then over on the other side was where the dance hall was. And
These were new additions that they put in, or they...
I think that it used to be something else down there, and I don't remember because, yeah, I just don't remember.
So there was a dance hall, a pool?
We danced down there. We had music. There was, oh yes, there was 2 pools. There was the dance hall. There was the grassy area all around. There was picnic tables here and there, and just big giant eucalyptus trees, lots of shade. My first husband, that's where he first noticed me, was at Elderberry Park. And the other place that we liked to go to dancing, Garden of Allah.
Oh, tell me about that.
That was on Mission Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a place where, I'm not the person to ask this, but I know that we had some really good country singers going there that just traveled all around, came to Niles and went to Garden of Allah.
Mm-hmm.
That was right over near the nursery,
Mm-hmm.
and there's that little gas station and a couple of, I don't know, 3 or 4 houses maybe later down the road on the left-hand side.
Right.
It was tucked away back there.
So you went as teenagers there?
Mhm.
Oh, because it burnt down like around 68, so
did.
right after you graduated.
Right,
Or
yeah.
not
Because
too long.
64 was when I went to high school.
Uh-huh.
By then, I still, I remember a boyfriend taking me there. And
So what was it like inside? Tell me about it.
it was gigantic. It was just like one huge room. It was, on the left was where you could get tickets to special shows that they'd have, and they'd also have some, snack bar thing. It was not any big deal at all. In fact, if you look from the outside, it was pretty worn down. And I believe someone told me it was a skating rink.
Yeah.
But that's where I first heard country, was when my boyfriend
Yeah.
took me there.
Oh.
I said, what kind of music is this? And it turned out that, I can't remember the country singers, but there were some famous country singers. My mother is a housekeeper. And we walked in, and on the living room was the gold record for. I did not know the real, importance of that.
So there was a gold record for...
Yeah, he did rockabilly.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
And they lived there, right there in on Canyon Heights, you said.
His mother did, and
Mm-hmm.
he'd come to visit, and that's when they said he would come and he would bring. Okay, he's the one who brought Elvis down there. That's what I heard. But
I heard-
saw that.
I heard there were some very famous people there.
I the other day when I was walking, because I love to walk, and when I was walking down there, I took a picture of that house because I thought, this is it. I've got to post this picture. But I can't remember right now. It wasn't Gene Vincent. It was someone like Gene. Well, part of the dancing part is because my father loved to dance. So anywhere there's music, he'd find that, right? So the other is the hall, and I wish I could remember. I feel terrible because I should know these names. The hall, the brick hall that's above where the Niles ice cream shop is now, where Believa's used to be.
The Veterans Hall?
The Veterans Hall. Okay, the Veterans Hall. My mom really wanted me to do tap dancing, so that's where I'd go upstairs, all those steps, all the way up to go do my tap dancing, and I liked it more because it was downtown Niles, and we're going to walk all throughout here and there, and we're going to see all these people, and I get to go over and see my friend Deanna Wilmoth and stay there for a little while. And so it was a big deal to go to downtown Niles because we're up in Canyon Heights on the other side, right? So anyway, tap dancing was fun. I enjoyed it, although it was very dark in there. Then later, that same place where I used to tap dance is where I would do my twist and
So they had, what did they have, like a,
teen club.
what was it?
Teen club.
Oh, they had teen club there.
Yes.
Oh.
And teen club was something that was just for people who went to high school. If you didn't go to high school, out you'd go. You'd pretty much have to stand across the parking lot across the way was the hangout also for Niles people, Niles teens who, we would go to teen club every Wednesday night, and there would be different bands, just local bands playing.
Live bands, not records, live bands.
Live
Whoa.
bands. And the last one always, every time I hear the song, I always think about teen club. Almost everybody I know says that, and it's true. Good night.
Arlene?
Good night.
Arlene.
Time to go.
Oh, that one, okay.
That one, yeah. And see, I sing. I'm like with the camera. I get nervous. I can't think of things. But it was super great. I just not too long ago put a Facebook post when we were saying, "Do you remember when?" And I did one of the teen club pictures and saying about the songs and the dances. And someone who used to go to teen club said, I remember, his post was, I remember when guys would line up to dance with you. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I didn't think I was that popular. I was just waiting for that one guy to ask me to dance. That's all I concentrated on.
Wow, how fun.
So that was really cool. Love that. And then, of course, like I mentioned before, walking down Niles, knowing everyone and being able to get our gym clothes down there at the department store, the bloomers. Yeah, you see, and that, I wish I could remember the names. I need to go there. I do give tours to my friends and family that come down and tell them, oh, this is where I got my gym clothes. Oh, this is where I got my wedding ring. Oh, this is, The other thing about being in downtown Niles as a younger, now we're going back to Joe's Corner, and that was my mother was holding my brother in a buggy. My youngest brother's in a buggy. My other brother's out walking, and I'm walking on this side. We're going down. The idea is that my father should have been home a long time ago, and he was at home. And we walked from my grandparents' home on Vallejo Street, and we walked over there to Joe's Corner, and we weren't allowed in there, of course. My women weren't allowed at that time back then, so they just had this kind of way of saying, oh yeah, you're here for Ray, okay. Hey Ray, wife's out there. And that's how the men would get called to come back and be with their families. And at some point in time, they felt sorry for us, so they decided to make an ice cream thing out there. And so I remember liking that. I didn't mind walking and waiting for Dad then.
So they had ice cream then for you? They sold ice cream cones or whatever?
Well,
Or they
I
just...
they just gave them to us. I never really paid attention to who paid for stuff back then. My mom didn't really have money, you know. Men didn't let the women take care of the money. So, later, when I saw Joe's Corner was going to be revived, I was just so excited.
Well, you were going to tell me something about apricots, cutting apricots.
Oh, okay. Yes, when we were younger, when we were as young as 9, I remember going to cut apricots at Mr. Pine's. A lot of people did that. That was just the normal thing to do. For some reason, my dad, he made friends with Mr. Pine, who lived on Mission Boulevard, not too far from the Garden of Allah. And so he would take us there. He would drop us off, and we would be there all day long.
Who was we? You and your brothers, or?
My mother, my mother, my brothers, my other aunt, and my cousins. We always traded houses, or families from Fresno would come. We'd go there, we traded times, and so they all wanted to come down and do the apricots. So yes, we spent a lot of time there, about never less than 8 of us at one time. And Mr. Pine was really happy to have us because we were really good workers. My father said, "Don't you embarrass me now," you know. And so we had an understanding that our allowance that we got, which was $1 a week, was not going to be enough for us once we needed special things for school, especially like yearbooks, class rings, even gym clothes sometimes. But so we knew, okay, that's all right. We have fun. That we'll pool our money, and that's what it's going to be for. It was never like, okay, here's all my money, now I'm going to go spend it. It was all pull the money, and then we all have that. Well, the one year that he said, I don't think we're going to be able to do Elderberry Park this year. It's not going to be possible to get the membership. We just thought, oh, that's the worst sin in the world not to go to Elderberry. It was just right down there, so close, and that was the hangout. And so we determined that we were going to make it, and we did. We had many summers, even as up to, I'd say, 15 or 16 that I stopped at that point in time. And so we had a wonderful time, wonderful memories. I have pictures of those too, actually. Because we went so early, we were allowed to take a little nap or rest in between. And so we'd get the big wooden boxes and lay them out, put a blanket over them, and sleep on this hard wood, but at least it was just enough. You didn't really sleep too long because somebody would be throwing an apricot at you or whatever, just to goof off. We had the Ariases, my cousin Roy, Danny, and Linda. They lived over in Niles. Can't remember the street right now. The newer homes in Niles, as we always said when any new homes started getting built. Rancho Arroyo homes, oh my gosh, they took away all that land. That's terrible. Back then, you know, that's still how it was, like it is now. Not wanting the growth. So anyway, the cousins were my cousin the Arias family is from my father's sister, and Trini, who married Kaz Arias. Kaz had a lot of family in Niles. And so, you know, we all just became one great, big, huge family. So that was really great. We still see each other. We have, you know, the times to be together and remember stuff. And then my cousin Olga and her sister, that was from my father's sister Lola, I mean. So we had just such a large family, an extended family, but also my parents, my mother's family, sorry. My mother's family would come, and they would be from Fresno, Santa Barbara. They all wanted to cut apricots.
Apricots, they all came to do that. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
So when did you get married?
Well, I got married in '64.
Oh, right after you graduated from high school?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I actually was married in February, but I graduated in June. I wasn't able to continue school, but I had enough credits and such, and took a couple of night courses. And Mr. Emanuel, who was my counselor at the time, told me that, you know, you do this, you'll be able to come and be at the graduation.
Oh.
Graduate with all of your credits and such. So that was really cool. I really wanted to do that. And then
So you married?
I married Larry Smith. Larry was a Niles boy as well. He came here when he was 3 years old. And so he and his brother Leonard and Leon all lived right outside of Linda Drive off of Niles Boulevard. And then they wanted to build BART, so that's where the home was there, right under where the BART tracks are.
Oh, I see. So, and the Smith family owned the furniture store? Was it there at that time?
It wasn't that Smith.
Oh, it wasn't that Smith. Okay.
His father and mother came from Oklahoma
Mm-hmm.
and settled in Niles when Larry was 2. But what happened was that he grew up in Niles. He spent a lot of time hunting and fishing and just enjoying the outdoors. We never met as growing up, not until Elderberry Park. Back then there was the Smith brothers were that's what the group he was in. And they weren't really brothers, it's just that they all had the name Smith. There was Dee and Dove Smith there, and then Larry Smith, and there was also Kenny Jones, and quite a few others, Larry Barker, all of them were all part of this one big group. So it was just that kind of a town where, you didn't have gangs, but you had groups of guys who hung out together. Just like our group that I grew up with some of the girls that had been in Niles forever, but also we had others who came in later. And we drove very, very, very old, Deanna drove a very, very old Ford car that was, looked like the mafia car. So we called ourselves the Mafia, even though we didn't cuss and do all those things, but we just liked our car, and that's how somebody said, oh, that's a Mafia car, and we thought, hey, that's what we are. So I have a picture of us sitting on that and made it in the yearbook as well.
So you were the Mafia group, huh?
The Mafia group.
Okay.
Yeah, Mafia gals.
Okay. So, do you have? Have you lived in Niles all of your life?
There was a short period of time, about 2 months, that I went and lived in Hayward. After I got married, Larry was in the Navy. My husband Larry, at that time, he was in the Navy, and so he needed to be closer to Alameda where he was stationed. So we lived in Hayward for a couple of months, and then we came back and lived in Niles, and continued doing that, and then moved over to Warm Springs when we bought a home.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, after we divorced, then I had a home in Walnut Avenue, which I still consider Niles, and then moved to my family home.
Wonderful. And do you have children?
Oh, yes. Oh, one of the things I wanted to say about the family home, or coming back, was when we had the class reunion, one of the class reunions for James Logan High School, they give out certificates for like who came from the farthest place and all. So they wanted to know who's lived in Niles all their life, and so they had a stand as the years that we've been living in Niles, and I was the last one remaining standing because I'd been there
Since you were born.
birth. And so they gave me a certificate for that. But I always remember one of the guys saying, "Why don't you grow up and move away from home?" I thought that was a neat joke.
Yeah.